if you just listen to me for a second, as an outsider, what it came to me across as, we have it so bad, we have all these issues and we have all these problems. But what you don't seem to understand is that people across the world have these problems. But your culture and your race and the country as a whole has had the benefit of being able to be so progressive that you have had a black president. So how do you feel the rest of the world feels? Because we have never, ever experienced that. You're the only country in the world that has ever had a black president, and probably will be the last.
I would feel like y'all should be inspired.
So
hey,
that's not
even sociopaths. People do not feel like they don't get nervous.
Actually, that's what Hitler said. You don't lie enough times, it'll become true.
Yeah, you believe it. It becomes a part of your reality.
Yeah.
fMRI. I know you're talking about the fMRI machine where they scan like the certain like neurons that are going through your brain.
Mm-hmm.
Now we referenced the Florida governor, but the only thing that came about with that is he also censored the teaching of Black history.
Ooh.
And critical race theory.
Critical race. Say that again. I didn't hear you. Say it again.
So when you reference the the Florida governor, he also is a fan of critical race theory, where you can't talk a lot about Black history. That's also going along with these states that, where you can't talk about the transgender or the LGBTQ community. Most of those same states, you can't teach Black history in school because it hurts white students' feelings to know that their forefathers were slave owners and the way that they did people. So critical race theory is something you want to know more about it. You have to give. I'm not an expert on it, so if you Google and look up critical race theory, that's also something most of these governors are a proponent of as well.
So you're saying they don't like teaching it because it's going to make the white people feel guilty?
It make them guilty. And my theory to this, because for the longest, I'm a little older, so basically when you start talking like police brutality, the way Blacks have it in the world, I think it's convenient. Most whites that I've encountered, they like to sit back and they'll listen to you and they'll say, "Oh man, the police do this to Black people. They pull them over, they harass them. I had no idea that was going on. That's messed up." But when it's being taught to you with something like this, Black Lives Matter, now it's put on the forefront, and now you got to acknowledge some of this stuff like Tulsa, Oklahoma.
You must have grown up in a nice area then, I guess.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it was an excuse that they could give where they could pretend that they didn't know. But now that it's starting to come out with TikTok, Facebook, social media, and it's even starting to become prevalent in some schools now you can have an excuse to say, well, you don't know that Blacks are being treated this way and have a problem with the police, that we built towns that were burnt down, because they like to say, well, we were lazy, we never contributed nothing to anything. But when you being
Black people built the United States.
Exactly. But it wasn't put. But when it's being taught in the school that, wait a minute, Grandpa told me that Black people didn't do nothing, but you teaching me that Black people built Washington, D.C. They built whole towns that was striving or whatever. And then even for Black students, it's building the self-esteem up. So now when you look at Texas and Florida, critical race, and there's some other states that is with critical race theory where it's like, no, we're not going to talk about Black history or put anything. I mean, and some of them, they're trying to say, I forget the term, they don't even want to say slavery. We were, I can't think of the gentler term they put.
Involuntary servants?
Involuntary servants.
Oh my God. People actually say that?
No, that was the Irish. They called it the Irish indentured servants. So when I was in school, they were talking, this was before critical race theory, but when I was in high school, they were talking about changing the U.S. history books, the language in it, because the next generations were becoming less patriotic and they were not liking their country as much. So they were going to add in softer language. Yeah. That was the conversation back when I was in school.
Hey, Blooming, you know what's very funny about that? How we mentioned it before, how they control reality through language. And now they're using something called a history book It's somebody's story. It's whoever took it over and wrote it. It's somebody's story. It's called it for a reason. It's whoever literally killed everybody and took it over. That's who wrote it.
The winners write history. That's how it's always been.
Teachers are being fired over that, trying to teach Black history. And, yeah. So some teachers are actually being fired for trying to educate.
In Canada, it's a lot different over here. At least in Toronto, I'm from Toronto in Canada, and over here, it's racism and all that. It's not really been like that over here. It's a very multicultural place. It's not like the U.S. I understand.
So I have a question about that critical race theory. At what point though does it teach? Does it stop teaching, and does it become passing on victimhood?
You can't be a victim either. You can't say because of this that now I'm restricted.
Like again, I don't know or understand too much about critical race theory.
I don't either, but I'm saying
that's why I'm asking.
That though. How a lot of people victimize themselves in a way by saying what do you mean? We could literally do whatever we want. So, in a way.
So Ali, that's what I'm asking.
Well, what was your question again? I didn't quite understand your question.
Yeah, at what point does it become teaching history and steps over into we're promoting victimhood to the Black community?
That's a really good question, man.
I don't think that we're promoting victimhood, because you're not just talking about us, because our history didn't start in Africa like we was originally taught. Black history, when I was growing up, it was two things. Every year it was out, we were slaves, we brought to America, and it even covered that. And our history automatically went to Martin Luther King and freedom rights, and then Martin Luther King a little bit. Some may talk about Malcolm X a little bit, and that was our history.
But I didn't even learn about Malcolm X in history.
And I would say if we even mention him.
Yeah.
Now, when you go through and you teach history, as we're starting to learn, you start to learn that, hey, wait a minute, we had Tulsa, Oklahoma right after slavery, because there's a period where we were slaves. The slaves got free, thank goodness to Abraham Lincoln. Boom, we were sharecroppers for a little while. Boom, now we're on the scene, and it's Martin Luther King. We got racism, and he had a dream, and now everything been good. The country realized that they was wrong, and they started treating blacks, kind, and then we go on. But then you go through with their history, you start talking about all the white scholars that discovered this, and for a Black kid, all you see is white faces. Even to your religion, white faces did this, white faces did this, and white faces did this, but they don't teach.
Ali, have you heard of the Underground Railroad to Canada? Has that taught it all to you guys?
I haven't heard of it, but you brought up a good point about Canada. That I just seen an article, I want to say last week, about the Pope was actually in Canada. I want to say a few weeks ago, apologizing for some of the stuff that went on with I don't know if it's necessary, with some of the Indians or whatever. I think that was killed in Canada on certain burial ground under the Catholic Church's watch.
Oh yeah. They're digging up hundreds and hundreds of bodies under churches and shit from little Aboriginal children. Yeah.
Which, I suspect they were of dark color.
No, they're Aboriginal. They have they're a lot lighter than you, but Aboriginal Canadian people.
But getting back to your thing, I think it was very empowering to Blacks to know that we were more than just slaves, that we did contribute. What was that movie where they showed that in NASA, it was actually Black women that helped Hidden Figures. They helped guide us to. I never knew that in all my years of education. That's powerful to some young sister or whatever, some young brother that know that. Hey, first of all, not just a Black person, but a Black woman actually did the math. Back then, it used to be a thing that women wasn't good in math. I think they
Black woman on one of our bills here actually.
What now?
We have a Black woman on our $10 bill.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah.
Y'all ahead of us in the U.S. But no, I think it's very powerful to know your history. That you got ancestors that did what they did. You know, they went into Tulsa, Oklahoma. Most people don't know Memphis, Tennessee, Bill Street, black man by the name of Church, went through doing a pandemic. It was epidemics. People were getting some type of, I don't know, flu or whatever. He was biracial, but basically it came from the grades under the water. Everybody was getting this type of disease, and I can't remember. It's been years since I read this book, Black Fortune. And basically he discovered that if you clean the water up under the grades in the street, that got rid of a lot of the bacteria. So he bought a lot of Bill Street in Memphis up for pennies on the dollar. Back when white people and everybody was panicking and was running out and was moving, he bought it up, built Bill Street up. And that's, you know, Memphis was striving then. And it actually was a black person that had a grocery store, and he was outperforming some of the white counterparts. So they got jealous, burnt his grocery store down. And
Ali, my friend, everything's not black and white. I'll show you this, because if you go into the higher echelons of who runs the world and all that, they don't care about that. They don't care about religion. They don't care about the country they're in.
They don't. And I agree. Everything is black and white. But I'm only speaking from the U.S. base, because that's what I'm experienced. But economically, when you look at statistics, it's people of my color are at the bottom of it. So, you know, there are other people that have had it bad. But when you look at the top groups that has it bad, and I'm speaking U.S., in any type of survey, whether you look at any color, anybody that come in there or whatever, it's us. And we've done a lot for this country that has not been acknowledged to this day. We're still coming out, discovering things that...
Well, that's for sure. Yeah, but that's why you're a smart individual. You're going to raise your family right. You're going to make they have the best opportunities, and they're going to run the world. You know what I mean? You're going to
about my family. It's about, I want to raise my culture right. Like
I have a question. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry to interrupt in y'all conversation, but I'm observing y'all conversation, and I have a question, Mr. Cage.
Yes.
You white?
No.
You just from Canada?
I'm Canadian. Yeah. My family's
actually. Have you ever lived here in America at all?
No, I've never been to America.
Okay.
A little bit different.
I had to ask if you were white, because listening to you, you are engaging with this man as if you are a white person from America. You sound very dismissive of the stuff he's saying, like, "Oh, well, you can be better. Oh, well, you're smart. Oh, where you're not hearing him. I'm
hearing it, but I'm saying
it don't. And then you speaking before I even finish. So you're not hearing because you want to respond. Okay, I want you to stop.
Sorry,
and just listen. And if you're listening, you're not speaking. What he's saying is the pains that we have been through. And when he's speaking them to you, you just knocking them down and saying other stuff about Canada as if it's supposed to make what happened here go away or better or irrelevant. As though Canada does not have racism. Baby, everywhere in America, Black people have it worse. Nowhere in the world do anybody want to be Black. Okay? Yeah, so that's wonderful that Canada that's wonderful that Canada handles racism better than America from your perspective. And I can't say yay or nay, because just like they don't teach us our history, we definitely don't know another country's history. But I just feel like you are just very dismissive. You sound very dismissive of what he's saying. And I was just wondering if you understood that, or if you felt that, or do anybody else on this panel feel as though he is dismissive, or am I just hearing it incorrectly?
Honestly, I didn't really feel like he was dismissive, in my opinion. If I felt like he was dismissive, I probably would have said something about it. But they were just having a conversation, so I was letting him have a conversation. Similar to how I think that, some theories, if someone has a way of looking at things and someone wants to challenge that, let it be challenged.
I feel like, but if you're gonna challenge something, then you have to challenge a thing with a thing that matches the thing. Like he in US and he in Canada. So what he's speaking about, when he's saying what happened to us here, and then he over here saying, well, in Canada, it don't match. We're not having the same conversation. You have to come over here to where we at and where we speaking. I know you that this is where you came from, and you proud of where you came from, and you feel like it's a better environment, and that's all well and fine. But what I'm saying is they not having the same conversation. Or am I lost?
No, I hear you. I'm sorry if I came off that way, and I apologize.
But this is good. This is good because it goes back to what I originally said. When we're in this country, we're talking to people. They like to dismiss, like you said. It's like, oh, I didn't know. It's like, well, you're doing well or whatever. But when you're teaching it in school, that this is a fact. That I'm not speaking theory. No, I'm no longer speaking theory. I'm speaking facts now. And
can I just say something? Sorry,
Simon, what's going on, my man?
Sorry to interject. I'm just saying, you're the only country in the world that's had a black president.
And
so, what do you feel or think that other countries think like in terms of the black populations in the other countries? Because you seem to say, like, I understand there's a level of discrepancy in terms of what you think and feel, but at least you've been able to achieve that to an extent. When, like, I live in another country where that's never going to probably happen within my lifetime. So what do you think we're feeling if it's so bad for you?
Well, what country are you from?
The UK, United Kingdom.
Yeah. They won't.
What I would say, Simon, is that before President Obama became the president, and as President Obama was running for president, it wasn't fathomable here for us either. So what I would say is to teach your children to look to America as an example. If that's the example that you want to use and you want your children to aspire to greater things and to change the world, then have them look at President Obama and all the things that we have been through and everything that they continue to put us through and the things that we strive and can become. Just because it can't happen in your lifetime doesn't mean that it won't happen. My grandmother passed before it happened. My father passed before it happened. And these are people that we knew. So everybody don't get to experience everything, sir. That's just not the way it works. That's what I would teach your children.
Look at the Obama thing. Obama was a great inspiration for the black people, but it didn't change the laws of the country. You still had the same people running the country. He was the face of our country, but we were still getting gunned down by police while he was in office.
Don't you think that wasn't really the question? What I was trying to say is
did I answer the question, Simon? Did you hear me?
I heard you, but you were talking to my children, which is not what I was.
That's what you asked about. You said in my lifetime we will never see this.
I didn't mention children once. I didn't mention
you didn't, baby. You said in my lifetime I would never see this, and so what I'm doing is. No, you may not never see this, but what you do is you inspire your children to aspire to this. That's what you do, because that's how we got there. With all the things that happened to us, there are people who felt like, oh, this would never happen. But then you had other people who spoke to people and fostered that hope and that courage and that strength to where it happened. So no, it may not happen in your lifetime. But if you can inspire your people, then it could happen for your children. That's what I'm saying.
I do understand what you're saying, but I wasn't talking about that. I was speaking to the guy's point in terms of what it came across to me as. If you just listen to me for a second, as an outsider, what it came to me across as: we have it so bad, we have all these issues and we have all these problems. But what you don't seem to understand is that people across the world have these problems. But your culture and your race and the country as a whole has had the benefit of being able to be so progressive that you have had a black president. So how do you feel the rest of the world feels? Because we have never, ever experienced that. You're the only country in the world that has ever had a black president, and probably will be the last.
I would feel like y'all should be inspired because y'all are
actually
I haven't even finished. Just give me a second. Just 1 second.
This is the clearest you have ever been, Simon. I'm so proud of you right now.
I'll be Speedy Gonzalez on this. Look.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Simon, this is bravo to you.
You're doing excellent right now. I'm so proud of you.
I'm just saying, like, the thing is, it's juxtaposition. It's like, I live in the UK. This is a racist place, okay? Right? And I do understand where you guys are coming from. But the fact is, it's like, there is a point where you have to go, okay, it is bad, but it's good.
We do that all the time.
Can I respond to his question?
Go ahead.
Since you addressed me, Simon, and your question to me was, since I'm talking about what we're going through in the U.S., how do I think you feel in the U.K.? Was that your question to me, correct?
Any other country globally has not had a black president, period.
Okay. This is going to sound mean, and I mean it with
it's not
any type of disrespect, anything. But I'm not from your country, so I can't speak on your country. You got to figure out how I can only speak of what the ills that I see here. Now, if I can help you in any type of way in the UK, I'm more than willing to do that. But I'm not thinking about what other country is going through at this point. I'm thinking about what me and the people in this country is going through. Now, I sympathize with you, pray with you, and if I can help or whatever I can do, but you got to come up with your leaders and do what you got to do to elect a black president. And then you said the benefit of a black president, we had to work. We've been working.
The UK is it's notoriously very racist. The UK love taking shit over. The British people, they love taking shit over. So.
Well, where do you think we got our model from? We had to fight that, you know.
Look, with all due respect, okay, if you go into a relationship, how do you understand how a relationship works? What happens is you have a view or a reference point, and the view and the reference point allows you to learn from how to be in a relationship. No one is born into a relationship. We're born as children. So when you become an adult, you start to reference.
It is a relationship.
You're not born into a relationship in terms
you don't have a relationship with your mother and father?
No, I don't.
You don't have a relationship with your siblings? You don't have a relationship with your grandparents? Those are all relationships.
I understand what you're saying, but I don't personally. What I'm saying is what just listen to me for a second. I know, like, I'm trying to be nice, right? So, like, the relationship, you're not born into a relationship with external people and strangers. Like, it's one thing, you're born into a family, but then you have to learn how to interact with strangers. You have to learn to interact with different people from different places and different countries. So to say, right, that, oh, this is us, oh, poor me, oh, you know, it doesn't relate to the rest of the world is garbage.
You never said
he didn't say it don't relate to the rest of the world. You asked him how he felt about it.
No, that's cool. I mean, everyone's got, you know,